Hello, everyone, and welcome to Giving You Keys to Homeownership. I'm your host, Kimberly Watson Johnson. Thank you for tuning in. On this program, each week, we will bring you general information on the housing market here in Florida. We will not only cover the purchasing and selling of a home in general, but different aspects of the process, such as home inspections, down payment assistance programs, and the various costs that goes into purchasing a home in Florida. We will also have guests on the program that will give us more understanding and details on things such as the different types of mortgages and the latest requirements for each one of them. They're also going to discuss the various types of home inspections and what is included in each. We will have an appraiser come on to discuss the appraisal process and the differences depending on what type of loan is going with your program. We'll also discuss the role of a title company and the part they play in the whole process of purchasing a home. And finally, we're definitely going to have someone come on and discuss credit and how it can affect your loan, and an explanation of the various types of insurances that are involved. So stick with us. Well, my goal here is to equip you with knowledge that will help you navigate this ever-changing market, whether you are a buyer, a seller, or an investor. As for today, we will be discussing the current housing market in Florida. I myself have over 20 years in the real estate industry. I began my career as a mortgage broker. And for those that don't know, a mortgage broker is responsible for finding the money that the buyer will need to purchase the property. And a real estate agent, or you can call yourself a real estate consultant, what we do is we work with you to find a home and manage the necessary inspections. At one point in my career, I worked as both a licensed mortgage broker and a real estate agent. That was difficult. Now I exclusively focus on the property side of the process as a real estate consultant. So today, I would like to discuss the current real estate conditions in Florida. But first, we're going to need to look at the real estate market in the United States as a whole. I have had multiple conversations about the housing market and the concern that it could possibly be heading for a crash similar to the one that went through in 2008. Well, to answer this question, we're going to need to compare and contrast the market of 2008 to the market of today. So, according to economists and industry experts, today is nothing like 2008. And the housing market is not a bubble that is ready to pop. That's a good thing to know. So, yes, the 2008 housing crash is still fresh in the minds of many home buyers and sellers. Many people know of someone who was affected by one of the following: the loans with the adjustable rate mortgages, the balloon payment loans, and the declining home values. Those things combined were the cause of the home values to plunge, forcing homeowners to owe more on their home than it was worth. That was making it impossible for homeowners to refinance for a lower rate or different loan terms. This led to a multitude of foreclosures. According to Odetta Cucci, Deputy Chief Economist at First American, which is a leading provider of title insurance and risk solutions for real estate transactions, she stated that this is not the same market of 2008. It is no secret the housing market played a central role in the Great Recession. But this market is just fundamentally different in so many ways. Today's market is different, says Natalie Campisi. She's a senior reporter for Forbes Advisor, and she explained how today's lending standards are different than those that led up to housing market crash. Among the differences between today's housing market and the crash of 2008 is that lending standards are tighter due to lessons learned and new regulations enacted after the last crisis. Essentially, that means those approved for a mortgage nowadays are less likely to default than those who were approved in the pre-crisis lending period. Another reason today's housing market is nothing like 2008 is that the number of people looking to buy a home still outweighs the supply of homes for sale. Now, as Realtor.com notes, experts don't believe the market is in a bubble or a crash is even in the cards, like during the Great Recession. The nation is still suffering from a housing shortage that has reached crisis proportions at a time when many millennials are reaching the age when they start to consider home ownership. That alone will likely to keep prices high. We are also seeing the rates go up, creating a hardship on some first-time home buyers. And I hate to say it, but the federal government has indicated that we can expect the short-term federal rate to increase a few more times this year. That means that we can expect to possibly see interest rates rise as high as 6 to 7% on loans to purchase homes. Well, if you're waiting for the home prices to go down to purchase, not happening. Now's the time to buy while you still can see rates around 5 to 6% mark. Of course, this will be depending on your credit score and your financial ability. The longer you wait, the interest rates will continue to creep up, decreasing your buying power for a home. This means less money to buy your dream home with. Now that we know the market is not going to crash, what does that mean? Well, before I get into it, I need to explain two phrases that I will be using. The first one is going to be an average buyer. When I say average buyer, I am referring to an individual who is getting financing and they plan to occupy the home, as opposed to an investor or a cash buyer. Usually, they're an entity, it could be an individual or a group, who most often is able to make cash offers for the property and will most times use it as a rental. There are signs that there will be a slowdown, allowing for more homes to become available on the market to the average buyer. Currently, the market is opening up and starting to shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market. Our cash buyers are decreasing with their aggressive purchase offers on home sight unseen, with a quick closing and locking out the average buyer from being able to make a competitive bid. Then you add in the landlords who lost money during the pandemic. Some have begun to liquidate those investment properties to recoup some of their lost revenue. These changes have permitted more homes to come on the market and stay on the market longer. This gives the average buyer the opportunity to view the home, get their offer submitted to the seller, which also gives them a better chance of winning the bid on their desired home purchase. Chances of an everyday buyer's deal being accepted has increased tremendously over the past few weeks. Previously, the home would be sold to an investor within a few hours of being placed on the market. Now, on to Florida's market. So you're thinking about buying or selling a home in beautiful sunny Florida, but real estate has been crazy the last few years, and you're not sure what's the smartest move to make. I get it. My preference is for your home to be a blessing and definitely not a curse. That's why, as an active realtor, I keep up with the latest news and trends happening in Florida's housing market, allowing me to give you a heads up on what you can expect. But before I start, keep in mind the best way to learn about Florida's housing market is to talk to a real estate agent like myself who lives in Florida and can guide you to make your best housing decisions. What is the Florida housing market doing? That's a good one right there. For the most part, compared to other states, Florida's housing market is still on the rise with a 35% increase on home prices year after year. Yes, I said a 35% price increase. Florida cities with the hottest housing market include Tampa and Orlando, which are ranked the highest among most improved housing markets. This shows the Florida housing market is still hot, homes are selling, and it's expected to stay that way throughout 2022. That is, according to the real estate gurus, which is also great if you're a seller because it means home prices have stabilized at the higher price point and there still isn't much competition. But on the other hand, Florida home buyers, who I must say have truly had it rough since the pandemic, the demand to purchase a home is on the rise and inventory is still relatively low. The best deals are getting plucked off the market fast. Mortgage rates are going back up after many years of record lows. But don't let that get you down. There is still hope for you buyers out there. We are starting to see homes stay on the market a little longer, giving buyers a chance to get their offers accepted. Let's look at Florida's housing market predictions for 2022 and what else is being talked about. Well, Florida Realtors Chief Economist Dr. Brad O'Connor said there are some factors that might change things a bit due to the impact of increasing mortgage interest rates. He named a few as higher mortgage rates could slow down price growth, home sales will go down a bit due to more buyers not being able to qualify for the higher home prices now that interest rates have gone up. Affordable homes will be in high demand with those whose purchase power has gone down. And Florida's smaller city markets will receive more attention in cities like Spring Hill, Dade City, Wesley Chapel, and Hudson, just to name a few. But I need you to know that Florida's housing market forecasts are just like a weather forecast. They may not be predicted with 100% accuracy. The information should be used as a guide as to how the market will react based on current actions and trends. In other words, it can give you an idea of what to expect if you buy or sell a house in the coming months. Now you're asking, should you buy or sell in this Florida's market? First, I suggest don't let what's happening in the housing market be the only factor you use in making your real estate transaction decisions. You should also take into consideration your personal situation and your finances. With that said, here are some things to consider when you're selling or buying in Florida. Initially, I'm going to talk to the sellers. Okay, Florida sellers, if you are selling a house in Florida this year, chances are you're still probably going to make a nice profit. Then the question becomes, will you have a hard time finding your next home with the inventory being so low? For help with that, call me to go over what is available to you based on your interests and affordability. My lovely Florida buyers, let's talk to you guys. Yes, home prices and mortgage rates are rising, and there is a limited supply of affordable homes that are getting plucked off the market fast. What can you do to separate your offer from the rest and for you to stand out as a serious contender in this market? So I've added a few tips here for you. Get pre-approved for your mortgage first so you know your purchasing power. And most sellers will not want you to view their home if you're not a pre-approved buyer. Be ready to put in that offer on a home that checks all of your boxes. Thinking about it overnight and sometimes even an hour could lose you your dream home. Be realistic on what your money can buy you. If you know you can't afford that fourth bedroom for an office, then maybe look at that 3 bedroom. You just might be surprised. Have money saved for a down payment and any surprises that could arise during the home buying process. Most experts suggest 10 to 20%. However, I feel 5 to 7% if possible, but even that's not mandatory. What's mandatory is you do want some money to cover costs like the inspections, appraisals, utility transfers or deposits, and your moving costs. All of these come into play when you are purchasing a home. Biggie, don't buy a home you can't afford. Struggling to pay a mortgage payment is not fun. You do not want to be house poor. And make sure you work with an experienced real estate agent, because an experienced agent is going to be your best ally in this crazy housing market. The top ones will work to understand your budget. They will help you consider all the costs to make sure you only pick a home that is affordable. They'll also be your guide in finding the right house in your time frame so you can focus on the move. Remember, at the end of all the craziness, rates are going up, prices of homes are increasing at a slower pace, and the market is beginning to stabilize. If you love the house but hate the current rate, don't forget, you can always refinance that interest rate later down the line. Now, I can't end today's segment without giving you my thoughts on this. Well, after 2 decades, 2 decades, oh my goodness, I forgot. Ooh, that makes me feel old. Well, after 2 decades in the business and going through the last market crash, I can tell you that I do not see the same housing conditions that were present back then. When it comes to the home loans, lenders are not giving away loans to anyone simply because they have a pulse. Nowadays, you must have decent credit, financial stability, the ability to make the payment, and a history that indicates you will make the payments. Lenders are checking, double checking, and triple checking information provided just to make sure everything adds up. Previously, and this was one of the things that happened during the crash, lenders were able to choose their favorite appraiser. Well, just to show you how important this part is this was pretty much assured that the appraisal would be a favorable one, that the appraised value would be more in line with the sales price. Nowadays, lenders are no longer allowed to pick the appraiser for the home's value. Now it is done on a roulette system. The choice of an appraiser to perform the home valuation determination is strictly a random one. In addition, all loans must go through some sort of quality control prior to final sign-off. These are all fail-safes, and they're put in place to keep all parties accountable and keep a major amount of foreclosures from showing up on the market. Currently, when it comes to homes themselves, I am noticing that homes are starting to stay on the market longer, indicating the market is at the beginning of a shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market. This shift is not going to happen overnight, though. But the current home sales trend indicate that it has begun. This month alone, I have listed homes that have stayed on the market longer than anything I have listed in the last year or so. I even noticed sellers are beginning to consider helping buyers pay some of their costs to make sure the deal stays together. In real estate discussions with some of my realtor partners, we're talking about how they have homes listed for sale over the last 2 weeks than they have listed altogether in a single month during the pandemic. For you sellers who have been waiting to sell, if you've been holding out on selling your home for a bigger payday, then don't wait much longer because you will not be looking at that major high pricing battle with multiple offers. Those had become the standard over the last year. Now, for my buyers, we need to accept that, yes, the interest rates are rising. They are much higher than they have been for years. But you also need to realize the price to rent a home has skyrocketed as well. You can barely rent a room for under $1,100 a month. And every time your lease is up, renters are seeing a rent increase from anywhere from $100 to $500 per month. And they're not even getting any incentives, no upgrades to the rental, nothing. To conclude, even with the higher interest rates, homeownership is still great. It's still a great investment. Buyers can lock in what will more than likely be their biggest monthly expense for the life of the loan and not have to worry about periodic price increases that one experiences when they're renting. This alone will help you stabilize some of the monthly payments that you have going out. You are building equity in your home that, if need be, you can use it later as a financial safety net, almost like a 401k savings plan. The closing costs you pay, you can use your closing costs and some of the fees you paid at the closing table to get a tax break in the upcoming year's taxes. And the annual interest that you pay the lender for your home loan gives you yearly tax incentives to help decrease your tax obligations. Lastly, any upgrades or updates made to the home would provide a return to you on those investments, unlike if you made these changes in a place you are renting. These are just a few things make owning a home more advantageous than renting. In the end, you must do what's best for you and your situation. But if you're not sure what your situation is and you have any questions, call me at 727-946-6949. And for a full picture of today's housing market and how it plays into your home plans, reach out to me, Kimberly Watson Johnson, at 727-946-6949. That's it for today's show. Join us next week when our topic will be, so you want to move to Florida, what do you need to do? Thank you for watching Giving You Keys to Home Ownership. I am Kimberly Watson Johnson. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.